Terms apply. Capital One NA, member FDIC.
Let me get right back to you. Sandra, those banners come out tonight. Can you pop them?
Indeed knows unexpected growth can stretch your business thin.
On machine 4?
Like at Monica's Print Shop. To fulfill orders on time, she needs to get started hiring right away.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. And the moment you sponsor a job on Indeed, you get a short list of quality candidates from our resume database. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get a $75 credit for your first sponsored job post. Terms and conditions apply.
WCZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Just got a wreck at 53 and Douglas. It's coming in as a no injury. 65 northbound near Huntsville Browns Ferry. Apparently it's going to be a no injury, but there's northbound blockage there. There may be some debris in the road on the southbound side. Winchester and Moore's Mill working, and Jordan and 565 working.
Huntsville, Alabama.
Dr. Sandman's an easy-to-use oral device. Insurance approved for sleep apnea and for snoring.
Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome in. This is our little pre-show chat here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. We're on Facebook Live, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. I want to thank everybody for waking up with us on this Thursday morning. We have got a lot to get to today. We're going to have a lot of fun, as always, for 2 hours. It is the 85th edition of the Masters. It gets underway here. Well, actually, it should be teeing off right about within the next 2 minutes or so. We should have golfers starting to tee off from Augusta. They were doing the ceremonial tee shots this morning, right about now. And so the 85th edition of the Masters getting ready to get underway, and it is a great time if you like golf. So we'll talk about that. Moments ago, Jack Nicklaus just hit his ceremonial tee shot just moments ago. Coming up at 9:06, Bubba Watson, Brooks Koepka, 9:30, Dustin Johnson, 9:42, John Rahm, Rory McIlroy. At 12:30, Bryson DeChambeau. 12:48, Justin Thomas. Those are some of the later tee times that get underway from Augusta National. So that is what we have going on this morning. It is a busy, busy day if you like golf. So we're going to talk some. Masters. We got a coaching change in college basketball. We got to talk about. The Atlanta Falcons have some serious salary cap issues that they have got to deal with. When it comes to the draft, could Julio Jones be part of that equation? Atlanta Braves baseball got their first 2 wins of the season yesterday. We'll talk about that. We've got a lot of stuff to get to. Don't forget, though, we have a new number to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline that we need to throw out there. 256-576-4977. That's the new number to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. So we want you to be a part of that. And let's join our radio audience here, shall we? Here we go. And just like that, we are off and running. It is another brand new live edition of Talkin Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond. Welcome in. Don't forget, you need to give us a call on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline, but you need to call the new number, 256-576-4977. 256-576-4977. That is the number to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline, the brand new number to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. We promise the third time is the charm. That's the number that we're going to keep. We want to be part of your show. Don't forget, you can watch us on Facebook Live, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, all of the great stuff. You can catch us there for the next 2 hours. What do we have in store for you this morning? We got a lot of stuff in store. In fact, the 85th edition of the Masters is underway. The ceremonial tee shots have been hit down the middle of the fairways. Our first group's getting ready to tee off right about now, and that is Let's see here. Your first two is going to be Michael Thompson and Hudson Swafford. Those are going to be the first two groups off the tee box this morning. North Alabama's own Stuart Sink will be not too far behind them. He gets underway this morning at 7:24. Your defending Masters champion, Dustin Johnson, will get his first round underway at 9:30. Justin Thomas will tee it up later this afternoon, 12:48 tee time. So the first round of the Masters underway at Augusta National, and we'll talk more about that as the morning goes along. What else are we going to talk about this morning? We've got your spring football updates from Alabama and Auburn. Alabama going through their 10th practice of the spring yesterday. They will be off today. They will practice tomorrow on Friday. They'll have a scrimmage on Saturday. We'll hear from Nick Saban. We got to check in with Auburn's Carnell Williams, the lone holdover from Gus Malzahn's staff. All of the assistant coaches met with reporters yesterday, sat down with them, did a little bit of Zooming, and we will hear from Carnell Williams. Arizona finally says goodbye to Sean Miller. And in a statement, the university says, well, I'm going to have to read what they say because it's kind of funny as to why they dismissed Sean Miller. Yes, it has to do with the NCAA investigations or the FBI investigations, later the NCAA. But what the NCAA says, or what Arizona says, was kind of hilarious. But it makes you wonder, how much longer will Will Wade be at LSU? If Sean Miller is shown the door, how can Will Wade still be employed at LSU? We'll talk about that later as well. Can you name the leading rushers in the SEC, all-time leading rushers for all 14 schools in the SEC? Can you name them? Can you name the all-time leading rusher at Georgia, Alabama, Auburn, Tennessee, Florida? We'll go over this list. It was kind of interesting. Kind of some names from the past, some names you may have forgotten. The Atlanta Falcons have some serious decisions to make ahead of this year's NFL draft. And how about this? Could it mean trading Julio Jones? It would help Atlanta significantly with the cap if they would trade Julio Jones, because Atlanta is in a serious hole when it comes to the salary cap ahead of this year's NFL draft. They have got a ton of decisions to make. They don't have to make them by the day of the first round of the draft. They don't have to make them by then. But they do have to answer some serious questions when it comes to the cap after that, in order to get all their draft picks signed so that they do not go over the cap. We'll explain and we'll go over it all. It's interesting because the draft is coming up faster than we think. Atlanta, baseball-wise, gets their first 2 wins of the season. Now the question remains, can Atlanta win their first 9-inning game of the year? They got a doubleheader sweep yesterday of Washington. Of course, doubleheaders now in the majors are 2 7-inning games. But Atlanta finally, 2 wins, they'll take them. Now 2-4 on the year. And a little bit of history was made today. This day in history, we always kind of like to throw out some of these day in history nuggets. And this day in history was made inside Fulton County Stadium on April 8th. Going way back, not way back, but we will go back in the time machine a little bit and relive what happened on this day, April 8th, 1974. I'm sure if you follow Major League Baseball and if you follow the Atlanta Braves, you already know what happened on April 8th, 1974. But we will relive it here a little bit later in the show. But we mentioned we were going to do some spring football updates. And again, we are. Alabama wrapped up their 10th practice inside Bryant-Denny Stadium yesterday. They will practice on Friday, scrimmage on Saturday. And we want to get to Nick Saban here in just a second. You got to love it when you have something open.
We want to see
Here's the coach.
Individual players improve their ability to play winning football, fundamentals. But I also think we're trying to develop some team dynamics, some team chemistry, looking for people who put team first, guys that understand that, what you did last year really is not going to create any value for what you do this year or help you play better this year, but it's going to be based on what you do to create positive outcome for yourself this year by paying attention to detail, doing little things right, playing with discipline, holding each other accountable to the standard that they all know that we expect from them day in and day out, being positive, not being negative, set a good example for each other. And, they have great examples on this team of, some of the things that we had on last year's team, which was all about intangibles. It was all about leadership. It was all about holding people accountable. So I think that's part of the development that, we want to have, in spring practice as a team, as well as just running plays, improving, learning assignments, learning what to do, how to do it, why it's important to do it that way. And I do see improvement. The last two practices, I think you see a lot of young guys who were very apprehensive, unsure, uncertain about what they were supposed to do, so they didn't play fast in the last scrimmage. I see those guys starting to get a little more confidence, and I think they learned a lot from the first time in the stadium, first time in the scrimmage, first time, being in a live situation in college football for a lot of them. So you look for great improvement from the first scrimmage to the second scrimmage, and certainly that's going to be our goal for this one. One of the things that does cause a little bit of confusion this time in the spring is, it's almost like, we have double install. We're still putting some things in. The offense are putting more and more things in. We have to play against more and more things, both sides of the ball. But at the same time, we spend time working on opponents and things that we don't see, from our offense. So we're putting a plan in for that too. So it can be a little bit of a burden for especially some of the younger players. It's a lot for them to absorb, each and every practice. But at least we're getting exposure to it.
A little bit of Nick Saban there. Post-practice yesterday, again, Alabama off today. They'll practice tomorrow, Drew, and scrimmage for the second time inside Bryant-Denny Stadium on Saturday. And you listen to his words there, and you see just how important sometimes spring practice can be, especially for the younger guys.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, this is what it's about. It's about developing depth. They've got several guys that are out. The Malachi Moores, the Emil Ekiors, John Mechie's that are going to be crucial parts of this football team when they come back from injury in the fall. So it gives a chance for some guys to step forward and develop some depth along the offensive line, especially, and potentially, you can some young players. In that secondary can get some reps behind some guys that the veterans that are returning. You've got that battle over at Surtain's old corner spot. I think Kool-Aid McKinstry has impressed Saban with his toughness. Certainly he's got a ways to go, but I think he's already proving that he can, be a factor. I'm sure he'll be a special teamer, but he may be able to get some reps defensively, depending on the development of the other corners. Jalen Armour-Davis has been over there. Certainly Marcus Banks, but we're going to continue to, monitor that. Kyrie Jackson, the junior college transfer, legit 6'3". He's not there yet. He won't be there till May. So that'll inject some more competition where you can kind of say iron sharpens iron. But Jalen Moody is a guy to watch at inside backer because they have to replace Dylan Moses. Deontay Lawson has impressed from what I hear too, the true freshman from Mobile Christian. So it just depends on how much he can retain and learn, because of course schematically you've got to be sharp. But again, I think that there were some people that were concerned yesterday about what he said, and really what he was talking about was he wants leadership to step forward on the football team, and it's something that has to be earned. And they lost some outstanding leaders on this team. I mean, they had Devontae Smith and Mac Jones and Landon Dickerson on offense, who were captains and were tremendous leaders, on that football team. Najee Harris as well. He's a little bit of a different personality, but he was another guy that, especially by his example of his performance, did a heck of a job. And then, defensively, Surtain is a quiet kid, but was a first-round pick and certainly performed at a high level like that. And then Dylan Moses, we understand he had a meniscus. He wasn't completely healthy last year, but he sucked it up and played in every game and was the Mike linebacker, so you're having to replace him as well. So you need some leaders to step forward, and when you have a special senior class and some juniors that meant a lot to the football team, that shouldn't be surprising. And he's wanting to get that fostered in spring practice to carry over into the fall.
Yeah. So there you go. A little bit of Alabama spring football update. Again, they'll practice tomorrow, off today, and they'll scrimmage on Saturday. And are you excited? I mean, you have not been inside Bryant-Denny in over a year to see anything. Are you excited to finally see a scrimmage on Saturday?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's supposed to rain. Hopefully it'll get out of there. I was looking at the forecast. I was like, thanks a lot. Appreciate all that. Even if they had to move it into the indoor facility, I hope they do that so we can see some scrimmage action. I'm looking forward to that. We're going to have some eyes there. We're going to have firsthand information, unlike what some people, talk about on Twitter that talk out of their ass, don't know what they're talking about, want to take shots at others. But, I just really think that we've got the best intel you can get. I mean, you got West Neighbors, so connected, Alabama football royalty. I feel like, I have outstanding sources. So we look forward to bringing you, the best scrimmage intel of anyone when it comes to Alabama football. No doubt about that.
All right. So that's coming up on Saturday. Make sure you listen to Talking Ball on Monday, beginning at 7:00 in the morning, as we will have your full recap of Alabama scrimmage on Saturday. Hey, we have a leader at the Masters. We have a leader in the 85th edition of the Masters. We do. Hudson Swafford is leading. He's even after one hole.
Wow.
But still, he's the first group off, but you can say that he's leading the Masters.
That's a trivia question right there. He can tell his kids that.
Yep. I led the Masters. Maybe for all about 10 minutes, but still, though. But anyway, Michael Thompson and Hudson Swafford, the first two off, and they have finished their first hole. Swafford even, and Thompson 1 over. So we'll talk more about the Masters coming up here in just a little bit, because Augusta National playing completely different than it did 5 months ago. Auburn. Spring practice update. Yesterday, Auburn made pretty much every assistant coach available to the media. And that includes Carnell Williams, the lone holdover from Gus Malzahn's staff.
Yeah, he was a couple days ago. We heard from Carnell Williams, and then yesterday they made the defensive assistants available. So they did it in 2 phases. They allow the offensive assistants to speak to the media on Tuesday, and then on Monday, because I think that's when we had Nathan King on the show. My days are running together, but they earlier in the week, let's just say, they had the offensive assistants available to the media, and then yesterday they allowed all the defensive assistants to speak to the media. So I believe that was Monday, and then yesterday, that was Wednesday. So the defensive assistants spoke to the media yesterday for Auburn.
And of course, one of the former Auburn Tigers on this defensive staff too is Zach Etheridge.
Yes.
Here is Zach.
2010 national champion.
Mark, man, appreciate you. Good to see you again. Been a long time. But, man, really, we've been focused as a group, just being disciplined, really focused on the fundamentals of where our eyes should be every snap, and just playing with relentless effort. I mean, the biggest thing is just trying to establish that culture that we're trying to play with and making sure that the guys are really disciplined in their technique and fundamentals and making sure their eyes in the right spot. I mean, the biggest thing playing defensive back is playing with great fundamentals. Don't get beat with your eyes and just being able to play fast. So that's what we've been focused on this group. Overall, those guys they're buying into what we ask them to do every single day, putting in the work. My group, led by Roger and a couple guys like Nehemiah and Simp and those guys that they've been showing up every single day to come in and buy in and ask what them, doing what I'm asking them to do and just loving exactly what they've been doing.
All right, just a little bit of Zach Etheridge there, the former Auburn Tiger, now on Derek Mason's defensive staff for the Auburn Tigers.
Yeah, he is. He's a 2010 national champion. He was with that group. He'd been doing a great job for at the University of Houston for Dana Holgerson. He's come back to Auburn, so good to hear from him. As you already previously mentioned, we also heard earlier in the week from Carnell Williams, Cadillac. He's the only holdover from the previous staff that Brian Harsin decided to keep. I mean, he vetted several guys, but Carnell was the only one he kept to coach the running back. So that's the other familiar face, another Auburn Tiger alum that's on the staff right now on the field for Auburn.
Yeah, and Carnell saying that he understood that there was probably a need for a change, and that the guys are buying into the passion, the coaching, the sometimes toughness of Brian Harsin. And he says that he sees that development coming along nicely there for Auburn. But just a little spring football update from both Alabama and Auburn. It won't be long before both have their A-days, and spring will be in the books.
And as Nathan said on the show earlier this week, they are going to open practice to the media. Not sure if they're going to let the fans in yet or not, but the media at least will be let in this weekend. So they will have some firsthand observations from the Auburn workout. And as we said, we are the source for Alabama scrimmage info, and we will have eyes on the scrimmage this weekend and have full reports coming up next week after Alabama has scrimmage number 2 and heads on into A-Day.
I'm sure plenty of eyes will be on Bo Nix. If the media is let in there at Auburn, a lot of eyes will be on the development of Bo Nix and Mike Bobo and how he's able to develop Bo Nix, because he wasn't developed in his first 2 years down there with Gus Malzahn, Chad Morris, and company. All right, 7:22. Let's get our first break in of the morning. Phone lines open to you when we return.
You're listening to Talkin Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Our last reported accident was 53 and Douglas. No report of injury there. Still might be trying to clear up several other ones northbound I-65 at Huntsville Browns Ferry, Windsor's Mill, and Jordan and 565. You could get Popeye's Shrimp Tackle Box or the Surf and Turf for $5. 8 crunchy buttermilk shrimp or 4 regular shrimp with a side and a biscuit. Popeye's Jordan Lane, North Parkway, and 72 at Jeff Road. Captain Nick in the Popeye's Skywatch Traffic Center.
This is Wes Neighbor sitting here with Ann Adams. And I understand you have some exciting news.
Yes, Wes, I do. Berkshire Hathaway Home Services was just recognized in the 30th annual Harris Poll Equitrend as the Real Estate Agency Brand of the Year and the most trusted real estate brand.
That is awesome news, Ann. Great companies in Huntsville, Alabama, winning awards is what we want. Is it a great time to list your home?
Yes, it is. The inventory is low and the market is heating up.
And I understand you're also looking for agents.
I am. We are so busy, Wes. We need agents to keep up with the demand.
Ann Adams and Rise Real Estate has been doing business in North Alabama for the last 35 years. If you want to do business with someone you can trust, She has been writing contracts since she was 9 years old. Call Ann today at 256-337-2625.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
This week's zone deal is sweet and definitely one not to pass up. Half-price goodness from Bad Daddy's Burger Bar to enjoy while you enjoy the final days of the college basketball season. Right now at our zone deal, you can get $50 worth of Bad Daddy's Burger Bar goodness for half price, just $25. Enjoy the madness with some half-price badness. Get your Bad Daddy's half-price zone deal now before they're gone at 977ESPN.com.
This is Paul Feinbaum. Listen to me coming up today at 2. Now back to Talking Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
All right, 7:25 on this Thursday morning. Don't forget, you can be a part of 97.7 ESPN The Zone. We want to hear from you this morning. And we do have that new number, 256. We want you, no, we changed it, 256-576-4977. 256-576-4977. That's the number of the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Yeah, we promise this will be the last time. Well, we said that when we changed it to the 1-800 number, and then we changed it again. So hopefully this will be the last time. 256-576-4977. I just hope that we haven't confused Randy to the point where he can't call in, because we have not heard from our good friend Randy in forever.
Randy. I mean, I hope, yeah, we hope you and your family are doing well. And again, 256-576-4977. You know, courtesy of the Czar.
All right.
Ceasefire.
We love them all, don't we?
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Let's reach out and touch someone. Arizona, Drew. Arizona.
Finally pulled the trigger.
Yes, they say goodbye to Sean Miller.
Of course, probably the main reason they did is they missed the NCAA tournament. If they had actually made it, they probably would have kept him.
Well, you're exactly right. Arizona AD David Hickey says that the Sean Miller firing was for losing because the program is not meeting those high expectations. He says, I felt it was necessary to make a change in leadership.
Yeah, so that just shows you that LSU, for one, they are dealing with all this football strife and all these just ridiculous, this disgusting stuff off the field with
sexual misconduct allegations.
These sexual misconduct allegations is just terrible, horrific. But B, so basketball doesn't drive the bus. C, Will Wade has been winning games, and so they're just looking the other way until D, Will Wade loses enough games, and then they fire him. But I will say, somebody was talking about his contract. They've changed his contract. He had, when he was suspended, remember they did suspend him.
Right.
And now he can't, they can fire him for cause, but they're not firing him because he's winning. Okay, that's the reason. Now, Trendon Watford just exited stage left yesterday and went pro and hired an agent. So goodbye 1-4, and that's what he is, 1-4 against Alabama. But still a great player. So
right.
You're not going to have Trendon Watford back in your lineup, so he's gone. Cam Thomas, I would almost assure, would be out of here. So, what if LSU takes a step back next year? Almost assuredly, he'll get the zig. The minute he has a losing season, he's going to be gone. It was like Tommy Tuberville, because Pat Dye was not a fan. The minute Tommy Tuberville lost to Alabama, adios, amigo. And that's basically what happened. And I think that's what will happen to Will Wade. The first bump in the road from a season standpoint that he has,
that'll be enough to exit him the door.
You gone. Western Union out the door. So he'll be out of here. I mean, Sean Miller and his brother Archie, they'll probably get more chances. And Archie didn't get fired. He wasn't involved in the FBI
right.
stuff.
They're saying Sean Miller's next destination will probably be an assistant coach in the NBA.
Well, that's the Kelvin Sampson, path.
Route. Yeah.
Yeah, to go to the NBA, be an assistant, and then wait for a job that you think is attractive enough to take.
And that you're not toxic anymore to be on the sidelines. Because remember, Miller was charged with head coach responsibility for failure to promote atmosphere and compliance. But Arizona stuck by Miller for 4 years.
Well, they did. And he really had a great run for 12 years. And he went to 3 Elite Eights. I thought he was an outstanding coach. They did a great job at Xavier, did a great job. And remember, he took over a difficult situation when Lute Olson had to retire.
Okay.
Because Lute was having health issues and the program had slipped. And so he got it back to among the elite. Then he paid $100,000 for a big man. I mean, at least that's what it sounded like. It's what it said on tape, man. I'm just going by what the tape said. And DeAndre Ayton.
Yes.
But I mean, he made a mistake, but Book Richardson kind of paid the piper for that, his assistant coach. But, I mean, man, come on. Rick Pitino is at Iona, okay? I know it's Iona. It's not in the Power 5. But these cats are going to get jobs again. Now, maybe, I don't know, unless it's Will Wade. I don't know. Will Wade, if you peel back the onion on his coaching career, it's not a Hallmark card, okay?
Well, there was a lot of questions inside the coaching circles about Will Wade before he even arrived to LSU.
So, he may end up in some JUCO in Texas, for all we know. He may be on the Billy Clyde Gillespie train or roller coaster.
What does this mean then? Bruce Pearl's name has not been mentioned at Auburn. It was the assistant coaches.
Yeah,
right.
Well known, one of the Auburn greats, yes.
But they're obviously still probably looking at Auburn. They're probably still there, the NCAA somewhere.
Well,
I mean, what is this? I mean, does this cast a shadow then on Auburn's program as well?
Is about winning and losing. And I know they had a losing record this year, but what I'm talking about in context is the 3 previous seasons of Auburn basketball, which you can argue, and really it's not arguable, were the greatest ever. I mean, including going to the Final Four. In other words, what I'm trying to tell you is equity. So, with Bruce Pearl not being on tape, and let's clarify that.
Yes, that's the thing.
Unlike Sean Miller, and
Bruce
unlike
Pearl's name has not,
Western Union,
right?
He was not on tape paying somebody. Now, if you look at Bruce Pearl's history, as an assistant under your guy, Dr. Tom Davis at Iowa, if you look at him at Wisconsin, Milwaukee a little bit, if you look at it in Tennessee.
A lot of Illinois fans don't like Bruce Pearl because of what things were done.
Right, but there's a lot of, let's just say, sketchy stuff.
Yes.
That Bruce Pearl has done, okay? So, again, there's that history. But he was not directly implicated. I'm going to use a John Calipari term for every school he's ever coached at, Jeff. and I'm sure this will be used at Kentucky as well, is that he hasn't been directly implicated in it. And Auburn is having unprecedented success.
Right.
And they've got a monstrosity. You heard, Travis Branham on our show yesterday and Nathan King earlier in the week. They've got a great recruiting class coming in, Jabari Smith, Trey Alexander, 2 really good players. They've got Zep Jasper committed, and they may be about to get Walker Kessler, who is an outstanding 7-footer that would only be a sophomore, who has great bloodlines. His family, of course, all great players at Georgia. So you could get a 7-foot kid like that, and then perhaps a Theo Pinson. So Auburn is having unprecedented success, and that's why they're going to just try to navigate this probation. We don't know how much more is going to come down. Probably will be more. But right now, I would say they're going to try to ride it out with Bruce Pearl.
All right, so that is your NCAA basketball update. Arizona moving on from Sean Miller. Will Wade keeps his job for now.
Rent, don't buy.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one. So would you buy Bruce Pearl?
Well, I mean, for right now, I don't think, again, certainly, I don't think the Auburn administration wants to part ways with Bruce Pearl. Now, 2 more losing seasons in a row, like if they don't live up to expectations, then the seat will get hot. I think, the Auburn fans will get restless. But, they lost a lot of seniors off last year's group where they were second in the SEC, and I think they won 27 games and were one of the favorites in the SEC tournament going in, and then everything stopped. So they're just they need to, reverse the trend next year.
All right, your Masters. We've got some more scores. Hudson Swafford continues to lead. He's 1 under now.
Another chapter to the book.
He's 1 under through 2. He's a runaway leader, is Hudson Swafford. Michael Thompson, Matt Jones, and Sandy Lyle all are now on the course. They are
Sandy
even.
Lyle, wow.
That's a name from the past, isn't it?
Sure is.
Coming up here in just a few minutes. Well, actually, he should be on hole number 1 right now. He should be about ready to fill. He's probably got about another couple more minutes before he finishes hole number 1. But that's Stuart Sink, North Alabama's own. Yeah. Born in Huntsville, raised in Florence.
And played at Georgia Tech. Right?
Played at Georgia Tech, yep. And he won the Open, the British Open or the Open or whatever you want to call it.
Is that the major he won?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep, and they celebrated it with a grand parade over there in Florence. He, for years he had the Stuart Sink. It was the charity open over at Turtle Point. I don't think it was called the Stuart Sink Open. It was called something else, but it was at Turtle Point over there in the Shoals. But Stuart Sink should be about ready to finish hole number 1 here coming up in just a few minutes. So we will keep you updated on the majors. Your defending champion, Dustin Johnson, will tee off at 9:30. Justin Thomas, former Alabama golfer, will tee it up at 12:48. So those are some more storylines coming out of there at Augusta.
Go JT.
Midweek baseball update. Alabama drops one yesterday. You just give them an F right out of the gate.
Yeah, F. 16-12 overall, flat as a pancake. They gave up a 2-out, 3-run bomb, and then a 2-out, 2-run single to give up the runs. They didn't swing the bats very well. They scored 2 runs, in the 3rd inning to get back in it, and then they threatened in the 9th, scored a run, had the winning run at the plate, but lined out to center. Just didn't play very well at all. Monroe came in not playing very well either. Just not very good baseball being played at the Capstone right now, just to be truthful. And Brad Bohannon admitted that. He owned it yesterday, said he didn't do a very good job getting the team ready to play. Now they're injured. They've got some injuries, and I think they're talent deficient, up and down the lineup a little bit. They don't have enough depth in the lineup. They had a better ball club last year. We'll talk to Lance Cormier about that. It's funny how lineups fit together. Sometimes with a baseball team, especially if you can't hide guys due to education lotteries and being at a private school and having academic aid and things of that nature. But the thing is, it is what it is. So you know what you have to do. But they lost Tyler Gentry last year, who was their 3-hole hitter, who was a 3rd-round pick of the Kansas City Royals. And moved on to professional baseball. And then Brett Auerbach, who was a senior, who could have returned but decided to sign as a free agent after going undrafted with the San Francisco Giants, was a dude that could basically was a Jose Akendo type guy. He could play everywhere, catcher, third, outfield, and he was hitting, 388 when the season stopped. He was having a first-team All-SEC type year, was really their leadoff guy, could steal bases. They lost him. And so when you're Alabama and you're already at a disadvantage scholarship-wise because of the way the 11.7 works, and what I mean by that is you just don't have the depth of other teams.
Right.
If you lose guys to the draft or if you get guys hurt on the mound and in the lineup, and you already were trying to rebuild the program, because let's understand something. It was a complete and total rebuild when Brad Bohannon took over after the disastrous worst hire in the history of Alabama baseball when Greg Goff was hired, which was it. They just ended up being a wasted year. It messed the roster up tremendously due to the scholarship situation and having too many guys sign and too many guys returning and things of that nature. You really just had to start all over. It was scorched earth. And so when he was hired, if you heard Greg Byrne in the press conference, he said this is a 4 or 5 year kind of rebuild before we're where we need to be. Everybody needs to be patient with this deal, and it's the same thing. I mean, certainly it's frustrating because you've got 2 of your top 3 pitchers out right now, and then when you have that out, you have to pitch guys that aren't ready, like a Grayson hit yesterday, who's a true freshman, good young pitcher probably. But he gave up a big 3-run homer with 2 outs. After that, he settled down. But the problem is you're having to pitch guys and even play position players that aren't ready to play yet.
Right.
And so in the SEC, and we've already talked about the SEC, the biggest shark tank there is. I mean, when you got 6 teams in the top 10, I mean, Alabama actually played Tennessee really tough last weekend. Tennessee's in the top 10 in the country, and they won the first game, came back from a 4-0 deficit to win 7-4, and then lost 8-4 in 11 innings, and then lost 9-8 on Sunday. So, and then they come back yesterday and just lay a turd and lose 5-3. They just didn't play very well. But again, even in midweek games, you're going to struggle if you don't have pitching depth. And so they really don't have it yet. You're just going to have to be patient with Brad Bohannon because, it's just going to be rough because they're playing in the best league in America.
All right. If you're keeping track, 9 out of 10 in the loss column for Alabama.
Yep, it's been rough.
8 out of 9 in the loss column for Auburn. They did not get to play Kennesaw State yesterday. That one was canceled because of Kennesaw State's COVID-related issues.
Mm-hmm.
So that means now Alabama will travel to Texas A&M for their weekend series. Auburn will host Mississippi State. What was that, Ray?
Pat is on the line.
Pat.
Back. I think it's Pat from Tuscaloosa. Yeah. What's up, Pat?
Good morning, Drew.
Morning, sir.
And Scott, too. Wanted to just touch a little bit about any updates on JTT, and do you think, what is your insight on Alabama, on SEC and the transfer rule and Henry TuaToa coming in to save the day at middle linebacker at Alabama?
Well,
what do you think?
What we've been told, and I trust Jake Crane. This is a guy that's coached. He's coached on the D1 level. He's got a lot of contacts. He's been telling us he strongly believes the rule will be passed through around April the 17th for interconference transfers in the Southeastern Conference. And I think that's one thing TuaToa is waiting on. Now, the latest intel is that due to he's waiting on that he's been talking to Ohio State extensively. They're selling him on the fact that they need him worse than the University of Alabama. Probably do since they got steamrolled by the Tide. But there's rumors that he either already visited or will visit Columbus soon. Now, he hasn't visited Alabama. And if they go ahead and pass this rule, and then of course the dead period finally opens back up when Emmert wakes up from his nap, then the TuaToa could go even on an official visit. But I think that TuaToa will visit both places. I still have been under the strong belief that he's waiting for the rule to be passed. And right now they're saying Ohio State has a slight lead, but I think that's because of the interconference transfer rule. If it's passed in the SEC, I still think there's a strong chance that he could come in and play at Alabama. Now, Nick Saban had some glowing things to say about Jalen Moody yesterday and said he is competing for a starting position, and he is. But again, if Nick Saban can better his football team, if he can get a guy in TuaToa who knows the defense already, they played something very similar at Tennessee, and can upgrade the position, he certainly will. So I still think there's a strong chance TuaToa could end up in Tuscaloosa. Just wait for this rule. And then with JTT, he's still playing his season right now, an abbreviated one, Pat. It's going to end this week, I believe. I want to say at the end of, next week, pardon me. The week of the A-Day game, I believe, is when they play their last game. And I have heard that he will very likely have a decision around that time. He's not going to stretch it out anymore. And I still think Alabama is at my last intel that I have, they're in a very, very strong position right now. He definitely would have a spot.
Good deal. I was hoping that he was going to be able to visit this winter when it was 0 degrees in up in at Ohio State, and at and the girls were down here in shorts and bikinis and wading pools in front of the frat houses and sorority houses here in Alabama. Because, up in Tennessee, they call them volunteers, and down in Florida, they call them gator getters. Hey, but we still call them Bama Bells, even though they're not supposed to exist.
I understand that.
Hey, have a blessed day, Drew, and sorry about interrupting you, Dale, but I just wanted to see what your insight was on Henry and the good news on if JTT comes into this 2021 class, there's no way anybody in the history of football could ever catch it.
Yeah, it certainly would be something. He's the number 1 overall player in America, and so I know Ohio State's still in there too. I'm sure Southern Cal and Oregon are battling, but hopefully Alabama can close that deal and add him to the mix as another good young defensive lineman. They've got several. I've been really encouraged from what I've heard about the younger ones, like a guy that's really kind of been forgotten, Marion Latham, young kid from Pickens County. I think he's got a lot of potential. Certainly, Billingsley's got a chance too. Jaleel, I mean, Jamil Burrows, pardon me. Jamil Burrows has got a chance to be a really good young player. And we know about Tim Smith. Everybody saw him last year, but Jamil Burrows played some. He's got a chance to be good. Marion Latham, really like him. And don't forget about, Braylon Ingraham. They've got a lot of good young DLs still on the squad.
Yeah, and one more question. What about you were telling me how promising Kiana, I guess it's Kiana, what we got from was going to go to LSU.
Keanu Coot, I should say. Keanu Coot. We found out that's how it's pronounced. He's an outside backer. He's number 19. If you get a chance to see some of these scrimmage highlights, he's an outstanding edge pass rusher. But right now they are loaded there, Pat. Probably the most talented position on the team when you think about Chris Allen and Will Anderson being the starters. Drew Sanders had multiple sacks last week, and he's with the twos. You got King Makuta, who people have kind of forgotten about. He's still, I know he's not considered an upperclassman, but he's got some ability. And then Quandarius Robinson as well. They really have a lot of depth at that outside linebacker spot that they brought in. And now you've got guys like Keanu Coot, and I strongly believe, that they're going to the young man from the state of Florida from St. Thomas Aquinas is going to grow into they think he's going to grow into a defensive end. But again, they've got a lot of good young edge players that should be good pass rushers for Alabama. This defense should be the best in the country if they continue to develop at this rate.
Yeah, and I think a defense wins championships, and I think Nick has finally figured out how to get a defense that can at least slow down some of these offenses. And if you can slow them down, I think that our offense is going to be better than most people are talking about. And it's all going to be just fine, and we will be there in the Final Four.
All right, Pat. Thanks for the call, buddy.
Appreciate it, fellas. Have a great day. Thank you, Drew. Bye.
Jeff. Let's get to a break real fast, and we will get back to the phone lines as soon as we get back. We're a little behind. Jeff from the Borough, give us a minute.
You're listening to Talkin Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Just got a wreck in Decatur, Point Mallard Parkway, east of 6th Avenue. Nobody's hurt. Got one on 565 on the eastbound side under the Mooresville overpass. It's a no injury. 53 in Douglas, also a no injury, and still may be trying to clear 65 northbound at Huntsville Browns Ferry. Also had one at Winchester and Moores Mill. It should be clearing. Traffic signal problem, Max Luther in Meridian. That signal's on flash. Expert Heart Care backed by advanced technology. When you need cardiac care, you need the Heart Doctor. Dr. Randall Burns and the team at Huntsville Heart Specialist. Captain Nick in the Jordan Lane Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
I'm attorney Gary Lackey. You'll hear people say we're like a family, but here at the Lackey Law Firm, that's really true, not just a saying.
I'm Justin Lackey. With my father and my sister, we have a special connection to each other. I'm Jennifer Lackey. At the Lackey Law Firm, when we take on your case, you become part of our family. You really do.
And we'll always do whatever it takes to get everything you deserve.
If you're injured, you worry about getting well, not about paperwork or insurance companies or figuring out how to get to your lawyer's office. I'll come to you.
We worry about your case so you don't have to.
When you've been injured, we know that your case is probably the biggest thing going on in your life. More important than almost anything else.
And it's important to us too, for one simple reason. Family takes care of each other, and at the Lackey Law Firm, we'll take care of you.
The Lackey Law Firm. The Lackey Law Family. 1-800-4-RIGHTS.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
Here's Bobby White from Woody Anderson Ford on their service department.
President's Award winner 2 years in a row. That's only given to the top 10% of Ford dealers in customer satisfaction. So we're very proud of the service department. And our body shop. If you happen to get into an accident, which not a lot of people just want to go down and see a body shop. If you get into an accident, award-winning body shop. We have state-of-the-art paint booths back there. They're waterborne paints that we use, friendly for the environment. We've got our production system, the way things are in and out. We have the fastest cycle rate in town of getting your vehicle in, getting your vehicle out, and assured that it's fixed right. We take pictures before it's wrecked, and not only after, but we take it as we're putting the parts on. All done to above industry standards. So I'm proud of our body shop too. Don't forget our parts department. So you don't have to need parts, performance parts, or just parts if you're a weekend mechanic.
Woody Anderson Ford, located at the corner of Jordan and Sparkman, as well as Hughes Road and Madison. You can also check out the great deals at WoodyAndersonFord.com.
Listen to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. Weekday afternoons starting at 5 on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
All right, Jeff is still there. Mike's on.
All right. Welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone, your 85th Masters update. Stuart Sink, as we mentioned, teeing up on hole number 2 right now. He is one over. Actually, my bad. He is even after his first hole. Stuart Sink even. And Hudson Swafford continuing to lead now. He is 2 under through 4. Let's go to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Jeff from the Borough with us on a Thursday morning. Good morning, Jeff.
How's it going, guys?
Good, Jeff. How are you?
Pretty good. I was going to say a few recruits going to be deciding here in a few days, Drew.
Yeah, no doubt. There's and I know today Namari Burnett in the transfer portal is going to choose his destination. I think I want to say around 2:00. I don't know the exact time, but I think Alabama's the favorite there. He's from Texas Tech, former 5-star guard. I think those are Bediako and Burnett are the two guys Alabama's been the most heavily involved with. I know they're also talking to Noah Gurley. Right now, I wouldn't expect him to end up at Alabama. I know things can change, but I think Burnett is the one to watch today.
I was yesterday. There's a Bill King talks about him all the time. There's these 2 kids down there who played Franklin Summit High School. They're twins, Wade twins. They're going to decide next week. Next Friday, I think it is. They will have a big deal at their school. They're down to 4 schools. They're down to Louisville and Virginia and Tennessee and Kentucky. So they're going to decide then. I was seeing this guy. I don't really know much about him, but good when they say he's down to 5 schools and he's going to decide next Saturday, I guess next weekend, he's going to decide he's down to Michigan State, Ohio State, and Clemson, Alabama, and Kentucky. So, and one of the guys already, those crystal little predictions, he said he's going to Kentucky. So he's an offensive lineman or something. I don't know too much about him, but I'm sure you do. He's about 6'7", about 300 pounds. So he's supposed to be really good. I guess he's a 4-star rated guy. So don't know too much about him, but still he's offensive lineman. So I guess he's really good. I guess I really don't know.
Well, I mean, certainly when you're talking about Mark Stoops, they've done a great job, making inroads in that part of the country. Certainly, he wants to build his program inside out along the lines of scrimmage. They are going to make some changes offensively. We understand that they want to become more proficient. And that's what they need to do, throwing the football. But they're still not going to get away from physicality and running the ball and playing good defense. So certainly, if they can secure the commitment of that young man on the O-line early, I mean, it'll be a feather in the cap for Kentucky. And as I've told you, I do think Kentucky's recruiting at a higher level each and every year. It gets incrementally better. They've made a lot of inroads into the state of Michigan, and with Harbaugh's future being up in there, and really even with the contract extension, it still is. And with Michigan State, being rebuilt, right now, that you can kind of take advantage of that. And I think there's no question. We talked to Rico Beard last week about Michigan State and Mel Tucker, and he's attacking the transfer portal more aggressive than anyone. He's only 40%. Of their roster is going to return. So it looks like he has overhauled nearly half of his roster just after his first season.
Yeah, I was going to ask you too. So is Alabama not interested in him either?
Well, I mean, right now Alabama's football wise they're not being super aggressive. They're kind of laying back. They're waiting for the dead period to end where they want to get some kids on campus. They had, remember with the 2021 group, they didn't really start getting super aggressive with it until, June and July, and that's when it exploded. And so and they went from ranked in the 50s to ranked, in the top 5 and then eventually number 1. So they're not being super aggressive right now. There's really not another decision on the horizon where I think Alabama's going to land a commitment. Now, it can come out of nowhere. I mean, all of a sudden, a kid, Justice Finkley, of Hewitt Trustville announced last week at one point, I'm committing at 4:00. And then his coach, Josh Floyd, got on social media and said he's not committing today. And so we'll see. So right now I don't see any commitments, unless you may have heard earlier in the show, they're still in the Henry Toa sweepstakes and then JTT. That's this class. This has nothing to do with 2022.
Yeah, and one final thing, guys. I know you heard about this. What did you think about the Beasley situation in Tennessee?
That's horrible. We talked about it. I mean, you can't have that. To me, if it's brought to if that's accurate, if that's what happened, he'll probably be dismissed from the program. And that's just another black eye for Tennessee football right now. Really, Tennessee football is in the place that Alabama baseball was 4 years ago, where it's just scorched earth and a total rebuild. And Josh Heupel, he's got quite a chore ahead of him.
Yeah.
Well, they charged him. They charged him yesterday with animal cruelty. Of course, it's a misdemeanor, and everything. But they did end up charging him yesterday. Mm-hmm. I don't know if y'all heard about that, but they did charge him. So I don't know what's going to happen. But it's the last I know that he's just suspended right now. But like you said, I'm sure he'll be off the team. I don't know, but you never know. Tennessee, there was a kid up there. I know you heard about this a couple years ago. He sat in the back of a cop car and told the cop, said, "We kill cops where I come from."
Yeah, I remember that.
So and all that stuff. And he was back on the team at the end of the year. Pruitt brought him back. He played the bowl game and stuff. So so Tennessee, you don't ever know up there that they'll probably have 11 Charles Manson playing across the line to get through up there, Tennessee. So. But y'all hang in there. Have a great week. See y'all.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Jeff. Yeah,
Charles, man.
I don't know if they're going that deep. But anyway, it is a tough situation up there. The news that came out, it's animal cruelty with a young kitten.
And you just can't have that. You can't have guys acting like idiots like that representing your school.
No.
And so to me, you drop kick him and you get into the portal and get some other guys.
Well, and that's what we talked about when that news came out the other day, was that it's already a thin linebacking core for Josh Heupel. And now you take away another projected starter, and about the only way you're going to be able to get some experience in that linebacking core is to go through the transfer portal. All right, hour one just about done here on Talking Ball. We've talked some baseball. We're going to talk some more baseball at the top of the hour with Lance Cormier. But your Masters update is Hudson Swafford now still 2 under through 4.
He's ahead. He's
Stuart
leading.
Sink is 1 under through 2.
Nice.
So Stuart Sink making his way. Matt Jones also up there. He is 1 under through 3.
Not from Kentucky Sports Radio.
No. You got Michael Thompson, Sandy Lyle, all there even. Ian Woosnam is 1 over. Henrik Stenson is 1 over.
Woosnam probably with a cigarette in his mouth.
All right. That's the whistle. We're through 60 minutes. We got 60 minutes more of fun to go. Lance Cormier will join us.
Lance Cormier, former University of Alabama All-American, 7-year veteran in the major leagues, part of the SEC network and the coverage of college baseball. He will talk some Bama baseball in the SEC with us next on Talkin Ball.
If you need a car, McCurry Motors is ready to put you in a quality vehicle, and in-house financing is available. If you have a job, McCurry Motors will work with you even if you have a bankruptcy, divorce, or bad credit. Visit McCurrySaysYes.com. Every car comes with a warranty, and they report to the credit bureau. With 2 locations, Highway 72 in Athens, call 256-230-0232, or Max Luther Drive in Huntsville, call 256-713-0575.
When I chose a garage door company, I did my homework. I needed Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. They have a 5-star Google rating. I checked their reviews and liked what their customers had to say. Precision Overhead Garage Door has lifetime warranty packages, same-day service if I call before 2 p.m. If they can't make it the same day, my service call fee the next day is waived. They did a 25-point safety inspection on the door and operator. Now that's peace of mind. Residential, commercial, and gate services. Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. Call 256-400-45.
WCZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Got a new wreck in Athens, I-65 northbound, right at Highway 72. Most of it's in the median, but there's a police unit in the left lane of the interstate northbound. Governors in California's a no injury. Point Mallard, east of 6th Avenue in Decatur, a no injury. 565 under the Mooresville overpass. That one came in as a no injury. 53 in Douglas may still be trying to clear. Winchester and Moores Mill also may still be trying to clear. Traffic signal headache, Max Luther and Meridian. Snelling has immediate need for an experienced customer service rep. It is a warehouse standing position. Snelling 382-4000. Captain Nick in the 72 and Jeff Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
From the WZDX Pinpoint Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. Despite the overnight showers and thunderstorms across the Tennessee Valley, it's actually going to be a really nice Thursday afternoon across North Alabama, Southern and Middle Tennessee. We're actually going to get to enjoy a fair amount of sunshine, and temperatures are going to climb into the mid and upper 70s, dropping into the mid and upper 50s as we head into the overnight. Now, there are other opportunities for rain as we head into your Friday. Scattered showers are going to be possible as we finish off the work week. Temperatures hanging out in the mid 70s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
This is Brett Musburger's Action Update. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all of your car care needs. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts today. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better prices every day. Now, here are the latest lines from my guys in the desert.
UFC Fight Night on Saturday. The main event, the middleweight bout between Kevin Holland at plus 270 on the money line and Marvin Vettori at minus 340. Match 2 features featherweight Arnold Allen at plus 115 and Sadiq Youssef, the favorite, at minus 135. This week, new NFL futures were released for the 2021 season. The Bucks, the favorite to repeat, plus 475. The Chiefs right there behind them at plus 500. Day 1 of the Masters tournament today. Dustin Johnson defending the green jacket at 8-1 odds. That now ties him with Bryson DeChambeau and Jordan Spieth both climbing to 8-1. Justin Thomas at 9-1, Colin Morikawa at 10-1, and Rory McIlroy at 12-1 odds.
I'm Trey Westerberg, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Log on today, 977ESPN.com. $576-497-7. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
All right. Lance is ready. Mike's on.
As always, this segment of Talking Ball brought to you by our very, very good friends over at Terrell Technical Services Incorporated in Madison. Don't forget, they offer a full line of environmental health and environmental health and safety services, including industrial hygiene, asbestos, mold, and bacterial services, Legionella testing and water management plans, lead-based paint inspection assessments and abatement plans, environmental site assessments, LEED certified air testing, and more. Their staff does hold all US EPA accreditations and nationally recognized certifications and credentials to necessitate your project to completion. Give Gerald Technical Services a call today at 256-461-9278 to discuss your environmental health or safety needs. Again, 256-461-9278 to discuss your environmental health or safety needs. And we've talked some baseball during that first hour. We talked SEC baseball in that first hour on how much of a roller coaster it's been for Alabama with the injuries, for Auburn getting off to their slow start, a little bit of everything. Now we're going to kind of expand on that a little bit now.
Yes, we are. And with one of our favorite people, he does a great job on the SEC Network and SEC Network Plus. You can also you can hear him extensively in the postseason. He does a lot of work with the NCAA regionals. I thought he did a great job 2 years ago. I wanted to say last year, but unfortunately we didn't have college baseball, but you heard his voice quite a bit. So he has a burgeoning career as a broadcaster. Certainly does a great job with CrossFit Candor. And that is our next guest, who was one of the best pitchers in Alabama baseball history in the late 90s, early 2000s through 2002, was an All-American. Went on to be a 7-year veteran in the major leagues. And, of course, we're talking about Lance Cormier. Lance, you're with Drew and Scott in Huntsville. Good morning. How are you, sir?
Good morning, man. You make a guy feel good after all that stuff, right?
There you go.
And the best part is, Lance, there's nothing written down on that. That is straight coming out of his mind. It is not like a note that he's reading. It is straight from memory.
Nice.
Yeah, nice, man, but not so nice. Alabama's struggling a little bit on the diamond. We know, and as I said in the first hour, Lance, if you followed this closely, Coach Brad Bohannon, great friend of the show, an extensive rebuild when he got there 4 years ago. Unfortunately, it looked like they might have turned the corner last year. Everything stopped. They lost some key pieces like a Tyler Gentry and a Brett Auerbach, and now they've got some pitching injuries this year. And then when you're in the SEC, and of course you played in the SEC, you know how difficult the league it is. But right now, Alabama, in some ways, taking a knife to a gunfight.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And that's the biggest thing is you wish you had some other guys left over. Like you just mentioned, Gentry and Auerbach. I mean, those are two guys in the middle of a lineup or also just one of those jack-of-all-trades guys in Brett that if you'd have had that this year, because I feel like they're about 2 to 3 pitchers, 2 to 3 position players away from, not necessarily saying Omaha, but, truly in contention every single weekend to win a series. But when you look at it, when you go to conference, they played number 1 Arkansas, number 3 Ole Miss, and number 6 Tennessee. Not many teams in the country would be sitting, much better than 2 and 7. They might be 3 and 6, but for the most part, you're going to have a losing record. And so it's hard because you look at it and you see the record, but when you look and you pull back and you go, especially if you're not in the trenches, that's why I like to try to tell Coach Bo, you got to back up, because if you're not digging in like that and you see, oh my gosh, 2 wins, 7 losses, but if you back up and go, that's the pretty good teams we played and still had a chance to win probably three more of those ball games. And so if you do that and you're 5-4, you're probably in the top 15 right now.
Yeah, that's a great point.
And you look at it, though, and lots of times I know coaches do this probably, that they look at the schedule and they look down, in a couple weeks, okay, it's going to get just a little easier if we can manage through this gauntlet. There's winnable ball games ahead. But how do you treat the SEC season? And you may be, you're injury ridden, you're not swinging as well right now. And you look at the schedule, especially for Alabama, and you have the likes. In a few weeks, you've got Vanderbilt, Mississippi State, you've got Missouri, you've got Auburn on the horizon. How do you mentally look at this to say, okay, now is the time where we can get this thing going? Here's a great opportunity for us to turn things around.
Well, it's got to be this weekend, but when you look back at overall the history of not LSU, A&M, that's who Bama goes to. That's been a tough place to play. And they're not ranked this year like they have been in years past. But when you talk about going into one of the best atmospheres in college baseball, it can sneak up on you quick on a sweep. And so these next 2 weekends, A&M and Auburn, when you look at it statistically, this is when you have to turn it around. Like if you want to jump back into the mix and think about a regional and all kind of stuff, like that you had goals in the preseason, it's got to be a 4-2 next 2 weekends type of thing. I mean, that would put you at 6-9. It gets you close. I mean, Auburn made the World Series at 12-18 in conference.
Yes,
a couple years ago. So it's not like you have to be. Back in the day, you had to be 15-15 just to think about the tournament. That's not like that anymore. I mean, you're seeing teams make the tournament with 9-10 wins and make Omaha with less, with a little bit more than that. So, but I do believe, though, just confidence-wise for your season, these next 2 weekends are very big for Alabama.
They are, and I know Coach Bo was frustrated yesterday with his comments after the game. They didn't play very well, losing 5-3 to Louisiana Monroe. But this goes back to the point when you have injuries in your pitching staff. If you're without Antoine Jean, if you're without Connor Perlip, and now even Connor Shamblin, you have to pitch younger guys, freshmen like a Grayson Hitt, who may not necessarily be ready to do something like that, even in a midweek situation. And so it really puts you in a difficult position. And Lance, I don't think they played supremely poorly, but you go back, you look at two pitches they'd like to have back, the 3-run homer in the first inning with 2 outs, and then McNary gives up a 2-out, 2-run single. Your margin for error is so small, and now they're struggling in the midweek a little bit.
Yeah, and that's frustrating. And we were on the broadcast still doing some closing stuff, and you could hear some frustration coming from Coach Bo. That's the bad part about having the no fans, and it got pretty heated, and you could tell. I mean, that's Coach Bo doesn't get heated very often, but when he does, you better listen because he means it. But you're right about the biggest thing because Connor Shamblin and Will Freeman had been locked down when it came to the midweek games, and they had to pitch Grayson Hitt yesterday. And I think you're right. I don't think he's ready. He came in with all kind of stuff. We talk about, hey, the guy has great stuff and all this, and did really good in the fall and stuff, but he just hasn't turned the corner when it comes to the opposing jersey. He's not facing Alabama hitters anymore. When it comes to that, it just hasn't been the same. And so I think that's the part where you're losing one or two guys, and if you had those one or two guys more, you wouldn't have to pitch these guys unless it was a situation of, hey, we're up by 10 or down by 10, and we can go out there and just kind of feel yourself, out there instead of trying to make sure he's a starter. I thought he did better, but you're right. It was 2 pitches, and in games like this, when you don't hit, you got to make those pitches, and especially the Cervantes one, that was, early on in the game, a 3-run home run on a hanging breaking ball, first pitch hanger. You thinking guys aren't really going to swing at that. And then the Cervantes one was, they had a guy on deck who was already 3 for 3 in Cleveland. And I'm like, this is the guy you got to get. And you could tell he missed his spot by a ton. It was supposed to be up and away, and then went down and in. And the little freshman shortstop just kind of kept it fair and put it where and didn't hit it hard. He just put it where he needed to for 2 RBIs. And that proved to be the game winners and just the backbreaker, more or less.
Drew kind of alluded to it in the first hour, and it's a topic that comes up every time when Alabama, especially, and even Auburn have injuries in baseball. How much does that scholarship lottery limit what Alabama can do right now?
As big as you can think. I mean, it's one of those things that school, like, okay, let's just take, you mentioned Vanderbilt. And please, I don't want this to ever happen, but if Kumar Rocker or Jack Lyra went down with an injury, because, that would kind of rob college baseball of, fans of being able to see what we get to watch every week from those 2 guys. But if one of those guys goes down with an injury, you're thinking like colossal collapse. No, not at Vanderbilt. They just, next man up. The next man up is just a kind of a raw future, probably top 3-round pick, and he just steps into the Sunday role, and everybody else moves up. That's not quite. In Bama, you don't have. The guys that can step up like that because you just don't have the depth. And you have a top tier prospect in Connor Prelip who Bama desperately needs to get back on the field. And so you're seeing by losing one of those guys, seeing what has to happen. Because, think, Tyler Ross right now has probably been the unsung hero of Alabama's baseball team this year.
Agreed.
He would be in the he'd be in the bullpen ready to come out, to put out some fires. And he's not being able to do that because he's got to start Friday night. And he's been unbelievable in stepping into that role. Dylan Smith has been good. He probably settles a lot better for a Sunday guy, but he's having to move up. And he's both of those two guys, Tyler Ross and Dylan Smith. I don't know where Alabama would be without them, and so they've really held it together. And especially with the pressure of Connor Prelip going down being put on them, and they've held it together good.
Yeah, they really have, and they, as you said, though, this Rob Tilderson, Texas A&M, this is a huge series. They're 19-12, 3-6. Alabama 16-12, 2-7. They need to get a series win over A&M on the road, and then find a way to take 2 out of 3 from a struggling Auburn team. But they also need to swing the bats a little bit better, Lance. When your pitchers are banged up, it puts more pressure. I did think they swung the bats pretty well at times against Tennessee. They took a step back yesterday, but certainly it's been big to get William Hamiter back in the lineup. But now they need some more production, really from probably 6 through 9.
Yeah, well, you just talk about Hamiter, and then think about T.J. Reeves. So for the most part, Bama has not been fully healthy yet.
Yes,
they haven't had a chance to be fully healthy with having Hamiter, who is a great surprise. To me, all he does is hit barrels. It's like the ball is always on the barrel. And then T.J. Reeves, the thumb, the hamstring, he just never has truly caught stride. And he's the guy that needs to be in the middle of the lineup. And so, because also it makes their defense better if Diodati can be at the DH, because he hasn't quite gotten to the point where he's a good right fielder, and that's where he needs to be. But if I get to slide Pinckney to right, maybe T.J. Reeves in center, and have Hamiter in left, that's a much better defensive outfield. But you're right, Drew. They got to hit. They did better at Tennessee. But it's just you can't against ULM. Team ERA of like 5-something come in and they shut you down. You just can't let that happen.
Yeah, exactly.
We've talked a lot about Alabama's struggles right now. Auburn also struggling right now. They go on the road last weekend. Things started to look good. They took game 1 from Arkansas, but then fall in game 2, fall in game 3. Now they have lost 8 of their last 9.
Yeah, some gut-wrenching bullpen work. They just have Auburn been struggling on the mound as well, Lance.
Yeah, and then that's I talked to Gabe Gross, their hitting coach, before conference was about to start, and you look at it, and to me, like, you got to you can't look at one weekend. You kind of step back and go, okay, we had a home and a road. After 6 games, where are we at? And I know you really want to be. Your goal is 500 in the SEC. If you can stay 500 in the conference, you're going to probably host the Super Regional most likely. And so he knew they had a winnable chance. I think it was the first year with Mississippi State. Was that it? I think, or it was a series that.
Yeah,
they kind of felt like.
Yeah, that's right.
I think that's what it was. They probably felt like they weren't going to win. Maybe could get 1, and then hopefully could get 2 or 3 at Kentucky and be either 3-3 or 4-2. After looking at that, all of a sudden you look back and you go, we're 0-6. That's a tough thing. But they've had the injuries as well. They haven't had their rotation, their closer, their lineup like they would want to have as well. And so it's just tough when, like you mentioned, the scholarship issues in the state of Alabama comparative to the other stuff. And when you say scholarship issues, everybody has the same technical number of scholarships. Other schools have different ways to give more financial aid, whether it's grants for out of state or grants for, all kind of things that you can find. The Alabama schools don't have that, the lotteries and stuff like that. So that's where, when you mention that, that's what you're behind the 8 ball on. And it's just a tough situation to be in. And if you're in that situation, and especially when you're in the trenches, it is so hard because you feel like you're never going to be able to climb out of it. And once that happens, you have no depth. And so that's where when Bama and Auburn lose their starters and guys like that, it's like, how do we get over that? And you're like, I don't know, because I can't just go get more players.
Yeah, you really can. And just to clarify, Auburn did play Ole Miss first, but you're right. They lost. They got swept there. It was a little surprising that they lost 3 at home to Kentucky, but and then of course just a really tough series. But they actually showed some progress against Arkansas. But like you said, when you're 1-8. It's just, but the thing is for both these squads, Lance, I mean, you went through it as a player. How do you stay mentally tough when you're not getting the results you want on the diamond, especially if you're Alabama and you drop a midweek game to ULM? I know Coach Bo talked about clearing their minds and getting ready to fly to College Station today, but how do you regain your confidence? And is it just 9 innings at a time? If you can have some success perhaps on a Friday night at Texas A&M, how do you kind of snap out of it?
Well, it's 1 inning at a time, and that's the hardest part is because, in baseball, the game of failure, that is the thing that you want to be able to have. How do you have confidence when you're not doing good? And then how do you not too overconfident when when you are doing good? And so that's the tough part. And I think that's that magic pill that every coach wishes they could just kind of pass out after one of those games last night to be able to turn the page. Easy way to think about it. Coach Bertman and LSU, back when we were playing, Terrio and Fontenot and those two middle infielders, we were close because we played summer ball together and just grew up playing high school. He said, well, they literally had a toy commode in their that they would travel with, and Coach Bertman would let them take 20 seconds. Pout all you want, throw a fit, whatever you got to do. But then after that, go flush it. Get on, because the next at-bat's going to happen. The next play is going to come to you. All those types of things. I mean, it's coach speak, right? Next pitch, move on. But it is what it is, and you have to, because baseball, that game will humble you quick. I mean, you can be 3 for 3, and then the next thing you're in an 0 for 12 skid. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, dude, I can't hit anymore. No, you can hit. You just might have lined out 3 times and just missed a pitch here, and the other ones you had a bloop, and then you nailed one. So it's just crazy, the game, and that's why I think we love it so much, because it's so tough. But if the mental part of it, like you mentioned, it will drown you if you let it drown you. And so that's where when you see guys are the team leaders and they rise up and they do things and put up All-American type numbers, is they're just mentally tough and stronger than anybody else, and don't let the negative things affect them.
Well, Lance, we saw this during the basketball season. The Big Ten was the best conference, during the regular season, got a lot of attention. The SEC right now is that in baseball, getting a lot of attention, a lot of ranked teams. From what you see, I mean, is it legit? Are these SEC teams really that good?
No, I don't necessarily. Tennessee is up to number 6 right now, and the thing that we use for ESPN is D1 baseball. And so right now you got 5 of the top 6 with Tennessee kind of squeaking in there. I don't necessarily look at Tennessee as one of those teams, but when you look at Vanderbilt, Arkansas, Mississippi State, and Ole Miss, those teams are absolutely, to me, they're going to Omaha. They have the lineups, they have the rotations, they have the bullpens. Tennessee, they hit, but they don't, and they have a little bullpen, but they don't have the starters that Vanderbilt would have, especially Ole Miss. When you look at Vanderbilt and Ole Miss, those are 2 of the best 1-2 combos. I mean, everybody knows Leiter and Rocker, but Ole Miss with Gunnar Hoagland and Doug Nikhazy, right-left matchup, that's as good of a combo. They would be being talked about the best combo if the all-world of Jack Leiter and Kumar Rocker weren't there.
Yeah, there's some outstanding pitchers. There's no doubt. Kumar Rocker, Jack Leiter could go 1 and 2 in the draft.
Let me go a little bit further on that.
Yeah.
So the whole thing about the SEC is, I believe parity in college baseball is as high as it's ever been. And I've heard coaches talk about even more this year with the COVID and allowing COVID seniors and COVID freshmen and all having more talent than anywhere, because you only had 5 rounds of the draft. So you had a lot of high school kids that maybe would have left in the 10th round. They didn't. They came to school. College guys came back because they could. And so now you have more talent in college baseball around everywhere, not just the SEC, although the SEC is really top-heavy, especially in the staffs. But when you look and break it down, it's the SEC, the teams just beat each other up. And so it comes down to the postseason, but then it comes down to who you run across, what pitcher can shut you down, because there's pitchers at schools that you've never heard of have a guy that can go and shut a lineup down, at least one. And so that's the tough part about when you get to postseason. But up and down the SEC, I think they're that good. The top 5 are really that good. But I think when it comes down, if you didn't have to play the gauntlet of the schedule and play top 10 teams every weekend, there'd be more teams in the SEC ranked because they wouldn't beat each other up. And so the SEC has gotten 9 and 10 in there before. I think there's only 7 right now. But over the course of the year, when you play each other, they're going to fall out of the rankings. But I think they are that good, and it just shows when you look at the MLB, 91 players are from the SEC, and the next closest conference had 47, I think, was the ACC. And so it just shows you it's getting to be like football. Softball is the same way. It's kind of cliche. It just means more, but it really does. Down here in the South, they put more money into the case, and if it means something, where you put the money at is what it means. And Alabama, Auburn need to probably put a little bit more money in their programs, especially on the baseball side of things, if they really want to stay up there with the Ole Misses, Vanderbilts, and you would say LSU's as well. They're having a tough year, but that's notorious of a program that's up there.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, Lance, man, we appreciate the time. Keep up the great work covering SEC baseball for ESPN. We look forward to catching up with you in down the road as the league season continues in this meat grinder as we're 3 weeks in. But we appreciate the time this morning.
Oh, no problem, guys. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, and then great stuff there from Lance, and talks about the depth of the SEC baseball conference. And, man, to hear that Vanderbilt, Ole Miss, and Mississippi State are as good as advertised right now.
Well,
That's pretty scary.
We didn't really bring up Florida in the conversation, but they were number one in the country to start the year. Now they're 15th. Just to kind of let you know. I mean, they're still ranked. South Carolina's ranked. They're having a good year. But this baseball league is just a meat grinder. And LSU's 1-8. Some of their fans want to fire Paul Maneri, which I just find hilarious. I mean, he's such a class act and done such a great job there. But I'm sorry, as Paul Maneri's been there for over a decade, the league has gotten even better.
True.
So I think LSU is going to bounce back. But my goodness. I mean, every now and then you're going to struggle. You're not going to dominate every year. I mean, look, Ole Miss is in the top 4 in the country, and 2 years ago they wanted to fire, their head coach as well, Mike Bianco, who's been there 21 years because he's only made Omaha once. So, I mean, but it's not as easy as it used to be. It's really difficult.
All right, 8:25. Let's get our break in because when we come back, we're going to talk some basketball.
Yep.
You're listening to Talkin Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Just got a wreck at Browns Ferry and Woodlawn. Got lots of blockage there. In Athens, I-65 northbound near 72. Got a police unit in the left lane. Most of the wrecks off in the median. Governor's in California is trying to clear. 53 in Douglas is trying to clear. Traffic signal flashing Max Luther and Meridian. Do your methods to lose weight no longer work for you? Odds are your hormones are the problem. You can find out with a free hormone quiz at 2030huntsville.com. Captain Nick in the North Parkway, Popeye, Skywatch Traffic Center.
Terrell Technical Services in Madison offers a full line of environmental health and safety services, including industrial hygiene, asbestos, mold, and bacterial services, Legionella testing and water management plans, lead-based paint inspections, assessments, and abatement plans, environmental site assessments, LEED certified air testing, and more. Their staff holds all EPA accreditations and nationally recognized certifications and credentials to necessitate your project to completion. Give Terrell Technical Services a call today at 256-461-9278 to discuss your environmental health or safety needs. And go Army!
This is Wes Neighbors talking to Chris Haygood of Bob Wallace Appliance. Chris, what sets you apart from other appliance dealerships?
Wes, these appliances are going into the most used room in your house, your kitchen. The way we have these appliances displayed, it's easy for you to visualize how they'll look in your home. Wes, what sets us apart is the people. They're well-trained. In fact, they live and breathe these appliances. And if you need service, you'll really appreciate our parts department.
Contact Bob Wallace Appliance at 256-533-2121.
Progressive Motorcycle presents Road Wisdom from the Motor.
Half man, half motorcycle.
You never really stop riding in your mind.
Never.
Unless you're thinking of something else.
Like other thoughts.
Progressive Motorcycle also presents Roadside Assistance. Progressive Motorcycle, for those who were born to ride. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care. specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
This is Steve Moulton from The Drive. Join us this afternoon from 5 to 7 with Wes Neighbors and me. Now back to Talkin Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
There we go. That's the microphone. It wants to keep moving on me. 8:28 here on a Thursday morning. And the Masters continuing to play on at Augusta. While it's a little wet here, the conditions over at Augusta look pretty nice right now. Hudson Swafford continuing to lead. He's 2 under through 6. And we have got Matt Jones 1 under through 5. And then there are a slew of golfers, one or even, I should say. And that includes North Alabama's own Stuart Sink. He is even through 4. A bunch of other golfers there. Henrik Stenson is in that group. Ian Poulter, Schwartzel, Ian Woosnam. Bernhard Longer is 1 over on the day. So we will continue to update you more on the Masters. But we need to talk some basketball as well right now.
Yes, and it's been an honor. I've had this gentleman on my show. This is the 3rd time. We, of course, he had a great player at one of his previous stops, Kobe Eubanks. Last year, we had him on the show after his first year at IMG, coaching their post-grad team. Darius Miles going to the University of Alabama. He had some moments this year, including a dunk that was all over SportsCenter, and still think that young man has a chance to develop into quite a player for the University of Alabama. Played for this gentleman at IMG Academy. And then now Charles Bediako, one of the best post players in the country, a top 30 player from Canada who matriculated to IMG this past year to get better under this man's leadership, and that's Chad Myers, and he is the head coach of the post-grad IMG Academy Ascenders, and he will join us now on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Coach, it's great to have you back. You're with Drew and Scott in Huntsville. How are you?
Great. How are you guys doing this morning?
We're doing well. Good. And I wanted to ask you really, just get right into it. You had Charles Bediako this year. Well, first, I wanted to ask you, too, about the COVID factor that you had to, of course, account for this year. That's unlike anything I know you've ever had to experience in coaching. How did you guys at IMG Academy deal with COVID this year? How was it?
I think it was just very unique, the setup of the whole year. I think everybody across the country at all levels was just trying to figure out exactly when they would play their next game or if they would be able to play their next game, and obviously keeping guys on the floor and healthy. As a coach, I kind of attacked the recruiting of this year's team of just, hey, let's put the best roster together that we can. And even if we don't go out and play any games, we have an unbelievable training facility. We have an unbelievable strength coach, nutritionist, all this stuff that can help get these guys ready. And, in a situation with Charles, we actually had the kid Ethan Reed on our roster too. So we kind of sold it to those guys as, hey, hopefully we won't have a chance to play a season and win a national title. But worst case, let's have another really, really good player for you to play against every day and kind of set it up and make sure you're ready to go on to the next level, even if we can't have a season. But fortunately, we did have a season and we were 26-1, so it worked out for us. But definitely a challenge.
Yeah, 26-1. So you got 27 games in, and that's pretty good for, not even knowing if you were even going to get to play one game.
Yeah, it was good. I'm very thankful. We're fortunate at IMG. I think everybody's kind of starting to get a feel of the setup at IMG and how nice it is and unique. And we have Johns Hopkins actually own our campus, so they could do the rapid testing. They could keep us in pod groups. Like the structure they set up for all of our athletes, not just basketball team, but obviously the football, baseball, tennis, golf, all the athletes on campus. They kind of put them in pods and moved around together. So it gave us a chance to really be able to, feel like we could have a season and do it in a safe way. And obviously travel and stuff was a lot different than normal. We didn't do as many team outings and a lot of hotel meals and all that. But, being able to play games was an important part for obviously us and our guys.
Well, and of course you had a chance. You were able to recruit and get Charles Bediako to IMG to play his final year of high school basketball. for you, helped you to a 26-1 record. I guess first of all, for our listeners who have seen film and probably haven't seen Charles in person play, what's his actual height and weight for going as he gets ready to take this next step and go to Alabama and play for NATO's?
Yeah, he's 6'11", unbelievable wingspan. I think it's about 7'3". I might even be shortchanging him a little bit. And then he is probably going to come in around, I think, 230, maybe 235. So I think he's really changed his body. He's stronger now, getting more and more physical. I think his base is better than it was hopefully a year ago. Obviously being able to finish through contact in the SEC, but I think he's just touching the surface of how good he's going to be. I think the way that they play, he'll actually really give them another dimension this year. And obviously they're going to play fast. Coach always likes to get up and down. And I think he gives them a rim protector on defense. I think he gives them a guy that's shooting threes. He can offensive rebound. I think he can score as guys drive, off of their drives. And I think he just, they obviously had an unbelievable year and made a lot of shots and could really shoot the ball, and their big guys could step out. But he kind of gives them that post presence I don't think that they had, this past year.
Yeah. Well, he ends up at Alabama. What has Nate Oates done to impress a lot of these big-time recruits? Because, obviously he could have gone anywhere. He probably had plenty of the offers. But what has Nate Oates done to impress the guys, especially the ones at IMG Academy that are ending up at Alabama?
Yeah, I think the style of play a lot of people like. It gives his guys a lot of freedom, and then obviously teaches them to be competitive and tough on defense. I think that helps. I think in Charles' situation, one of the biggest things that him and his staff, and then even the team, I think he really felt comfortable with Alabama. I think they have obviously Keon Ambrose and Josh Primo that played with him before. And it's such a unique year in recruiting that, people can't actually come out, and all these kids did Zoom calls and try to meet coaching staff. So I think just the comfortability, and then them winning the SEC puts them at a high level. So I think the combination of winning style of play and then him being comfortable with the staff and then some guys on the team as well.
And Coach, I know, as you said, that the thing that's eye-opening is you talked about the weight he's gained. I know at one time he was listed 215 pounds. So obviously you guys at IMG, your strength program, the nutrition, have helped him reshape his body. What part of his game did he improve the most for you as you saw him grow and mature this year?
Yeah, I think it was finishing through contact. I think a lot of that was, playing against bigger guys, being able to get and one, and be able to finish through contact. I think he's an elite rim runner, and I think he's an elite shot blocker. He kind of came in with those things. But another thing is he did a much better job of being able to reverse the ball on the perimeter. He actually is very unique. As big as he is, he can move his feet and guard multiple positions, which will really help them the way they play. But I think kind of just his strength, finishing through contact, and all that's going to translate over to the SEC because obviously it's a super athletic league. Everybody's very physical. So I think he's just more ready physically right now to step in and play than he was a year ago.
And as far as where he is, from a development standpoint, do you think he's a kid that'll be in college multiple years, or could he potentially be a kid that in one year in one cycle could end up in the NBA?
He's unique because there's not a lot of guys like him. Not a lot of guys that can run and jump and move like that are 6'11", 7 foot with those measurables. So you never really know. I think the good thing in a kid like him is if he ends up being good enough in a year, then he probably is an all first, second team SEC guy. So that's good for everybody. But
right.
I think, there's no really telling where he'll be in the next 10 months, but he's definitely a kid on the radar that, fits the bills that NBA teams are going to watch and track and all that kind of stuff which is why Alabama's where they're at now. They got some pros over there on that team, right? So that's why they're good. And he could be a 4-year guy. He could just go through the roof next year. But he's definitely a guy that has potential to play in the NBA.
And I remember we talked to you about Darius, and I wanted to circle back. I know he didn't get a ton of minutes this year, but when we saw him, I really liked his length and his ability to shoot the basketball. Someone, as we saw in that dunk against Georgia, that can finish over and through guys. I know, but to me, I loved his attitude, though. I was able to cover several Alabama games. Even when he didn't play at all, his energy was really good on the bench. He rooted for his teammates. I think he has the right mindset that he knows he has to develop as a player. What are your thoughts on his future? And I know he did a lot of good things for you.
Yeah, I thought he was a guy that has a tremendous upside. I think same thing. He's kind of touching the surface of how good he can be. They even played him at the one a little bit, I think, maybe when they were at Georgia playing this year. they got in a little foul trouble. I think it was a great year for him to just kind of grow and get stronger and play against good players. I think some of the playing time, he wasn't very worried about that. Obviously, he knows he's got to wait his turn. And the reality is they had a couple guys, and Herb Jones and John Petty and those guys that came back that were testing the NBA waters. And if those guys would have went to the NBA, obviously his playing time probably would have definitely changed. And that's part of it. When you go to college and you're playing behind guys that have a chance to get to the level you want to be, sometimes you have to wait your turn. But I think he definitely got a lot out of the year than everybody being able to get this year back if they need to. I mean, I think it was great for him being in the system and then being a part of the winning culture, and he saw what it took to win the SEC championship and make it to the Sweet 16. So I think he's excited. I think, he's going to be a lot better even next year than he was this year, even though he did have some flashes, like you said.
Yeah, there's no doubt he had some flashes. And then with Charles, I know he was heavily recruited being a part of your program. It was Alabama, it was Texas, then Shocker goes to Marquette. I know Michigan and Ohio State were a couple of schools too that he really considered heavily. He kind of stretched this recruitment out a little bit. A lot of people were wondering when he was going to commit. Why do you recommend when guys play for you? Do you recommend that they sign late? And when they're in your situation playing on the post grad team, or is it a different situation with each kid?
Yeah, I think every kid's different. I think none of us know, and I even probably shortchanged myself. I actually, back to my first team in prep school, I had Corbin Collins that went to Alabama.
There you go. There you go.
And then Kobe and all those guys. So I think everybody's situation is different. I think this year is unique to everybody, though, because normally, let's say like Coach Oates could come in and sit down with Charles. He could take an official visit to Alabama in September and probably have a little bit better feel of what's going on. This year, the coaches not being able to come out, guys not being able to visit campus. I think it's delayed some of these guys' recruitment, and then some guys has actually probably sped up on opposite and just go, hey, I might never be able to get that campus. I like these people. I'm going to do it. So I think this COVID year has changed a lot. I think he was, just kind of seeing how the season goes, seeing where's the best fit for him, which a lot of those questions could have been answered probably if he was on an official visit already in the fall. So I think that's why him and maybe a couple other guys. But we also had Brandon Murray that's going to LSU on our roster, and Benny Williams that's going to Syracuse. And both of those guys signed early. So to kind of answer your question, I think everybody's situation is different, and this COVID year has definitely changed even, the mindset for a lot of people in their decision making.
I'm sure you as a coach and with the players' best interest can't wait for the NCAA to lift this dead period so that there can actually be face-to-face meetings again.
Yeah, no, I think it's important. I tell our guys, been really fortunate to have a lot of guys go play Division I, and I think their relationship with the head coach, their relationship with an assistant, their relationship with the other players on the roster. I mean, it's hard to get those without actually being able to step foot on a campus right now. Now, you would obviously at our practice or with your family and do a home visit. And I think those are all things that these kids are missing. So, without just being a guy like Charles isn't going to get recruited more. Everybody kind of knew who he was. Everybody had him on the radar, but it's just being able to have that personal relationship. But I think that's where Primo and Ambrose, some of those guys on the team, I think really helped Charles make this decision because he has comfortability of asking those guys questions about the program and their experience and all that stuff.
Yeah, and finally, Coach, to circle back, I know you talked about the potential impact and the rim protection he could give Alabama. With Charles and the way you've seen him, of course, mature, add the weight to his frame, get better with his overall game under you and your staff. Do you see him as a guy that could impact Alabama next year, be in the starting lineup, and provide them maybe with a dimension that they didn't have this past season, even though they had a great year?
Yeah, I think that is the biggest thing. I think he can give them a dimension that they didn't have. I think they obviously have a lot of talented guys coming back. They were good. I tell all our guys, everybody talks about starting. They don't feel that there's seniors on that roster that you're going to come in and start, as a freshman. So you got to beat those guys out, and you got to earn your time. You obviously got to earn that starting position. But I do think he brings something different to the table. I think his rim protection. I think the way, especially they pressure the ball, and I think also they play very, very fast on offense. Like he's a great offensive rebounder. So as they're playing in their pace, and obviously guys are driving or guys are taking shots, he's going to be able to clean up a lot of misses and get stick backs. And then as they drive through, he's really, really quick off his feet and gets on the rim. So drop offs or either lobs or dunks or throw it from the dunker spot. He's just going to give them something different that's going to be hard for teams to guard.
No doubt. Well, Coach Chad Myers, IMG Academy head basketball coach of their post-grad team. We really appreciate it. We know you've got a fellow Bama guy on your staff there, too. I've connected with him on Twitter a little bit, Elliot Washington, who we hope to maybe feature in the future. I know he was a big part of Bama basketball, but we appreciate your time and continued success. Charles Bediako, we look forward to watching him in the state of Alabama next year along with Darius Miles. But thank you for joining us, Coach, and continued success.
Thanks for having me on, guys. Hope you have a great day.
All right, thank you. All right, let's get a break in. When we come back, going to wrap up the show.
You're listening to Talkin Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Got a new wreck on the Parkway northbound near Maston Lake, not reported as an injury type. Highway 20 at Greenbrier Parkway, no injury reported there. Browns Ferry and Woodlawn in Madison may still be trying to clear. It reported as a no injury. Traffic signal problem at Max Luther and Meridian. HPD is going to be doing traffic control while they make repairs. Routine care to heart failure. Dr. Randall Burns and the team at Huntsville Heart Specialists have the expertise to care for all matters of the heart. Doctor visits are important. Please don't put them off. Captain Nick in the 72 and Jav Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
The PGA Tour's Corn Ferry Tour is coming to the Rocket City. Join us at the Ledges for the inaugural Huntsville Championship, April 29th through May 2nd. Experience the beauty and drama of the course firsthand. Witness golf's rising stars chase their PGA Tour dreams. Cheer on the future of golf up close and personal. Tickets are on sale now at HuntsvilleChampionship.com.
If you're ready to lower your utility bills, it's time to call Eagle Insulation. Eagle can handle it all. Attic re-insulation, insulation removal, wall insulation, and new construction insulation, commercial and residential. Our primary goal is to save you money, and lots of it. Typical clients realize their return on investment within 3 to 6 months. That means the re-insulation actually pays for itself and then some. See if we can help you. Contact Eagle Insulation today, 256-755-1556, or log on insulatewitheagle.com.
Sitting here with Ann Adams of Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Rise Real Estate. Is it a good time to sell your home, Ann?
Yes, it is. We have people relocating from all over the country.
Why should we choose Rise Real Estate?
Well, we've been selling real estate in North Alabama for 36 years and have sold more real estate than any other real estate company, period.
Do you help your customers through the entire process?
Yes, our agents are with you during the whole process from start to finish, from beginning to end.
In your relocation services, you have a whole team.
Yes, we have a dedicated relocation department helping customers move seamlessly into the area.
Ann Adams has been writing contracts for the last 36 years. She has the experience to help you list and sell your home, downsize your home, or help pick the perfect spot north of Alabama for you to build a future.
Call Ann Adams at 256-337-2625 or on the web at www.bhsriserealestate.com.
When we say local, we mean local, not Birmingham.
Loser.
We are the only sports talk station in Huntsville. It's all right here. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
You've got a magical glow.
All right, 11 minutes. Mike's on.
It's time for tomorrow's headlines today with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Obviously, Swafford. The headlines will be, who is your round one leader? When our good friend Charlie Platt sits in the chair next to us tomorrow to help us break down round one of the Masters. And right now, Hudson Swafford, 2 under through 7, continuing to lead the pace. Right behind him, though, Matt Jones at 1 under. Ian Poulter, Charles Schwartzel at 1 under. Stuart Sink, North Alabama's own Stuart Sink in there, even after 5. And Siwoo Kim has moved up as well to 1 under. He is just through 2 holes. So, right now, they're saying the course 5 months ago when they played at Augusta was so it was soft.
Yeah.
It was damp, and they were able to take chances. There wasn't the greens were not as firm. Right now, they say if the conditions hold up as to what they are right now, the greens are dry. That scoring is going to be at a premium. It could be a wild adventure on the greens because putting is going to be not so easy as what it was 5 months ago.
Not what we saw 5 months ago.
No,
is what you're saying.
I don't think the scoring record is going to be in jeopardy.
Yeah, not threatened this year.
No, I don't think it will be. Now, I could be way wrong.
And
but
we were having some weather today here, but there's also a chance for weather to interfere.
now, if weather does and everything gets soft, Charlie will help us out tomorrow on all of that as far as, how that course could play if the rain does come into play. But I mentioned this at the very beginning of the show, Drew. On this day, April 8th, 1974, and this is a headline for today. If you were around the South and you were listening to baseball, if you were at Fulton County Stadium on this day, April 8th, 1974, you saw this. If not, you heard this on the TV.
1 ball and no strikes. Aaron waiting. The outfield deep and straight away. Fastball is a high drive into deep left center field. Buckner goes back to the fence. It is gone. Moment for baseball. What a marvelous moment for Atlanta and the state of Georgia. What a marvelous moment for the country and the world. A black man is getting a standing ovation in the Deep South for breaking a record of an all-time baseball idol. And it is a great moment for all of us, and particularly for Henry Aaron.
And that was your boy, the immaculate Vin Scully.
Yeah. How about that, though? On this day, April 8th, 1974, Hank Aaron, 4th inning home run off of Al Downing from the LA Dodgers, 7-15.
Well, what a great moment, too, to have Vin Scully on the call, who couldn't do it. No one could do it better. And that was a year and 3 days when I was born. But
really?
Yes. But April 11th, 1975. So it was.
Oh man, your birthday's going to be on Sunday.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to celebrate it tomorrow.
Yeah, I guess. But turning the big, I'm turning the Wesley Neighbors. If anybody knows what that means, if you go back and see his jersey number at the University of Alabama. But again, so there you go.
46. 46.
Yeah. Okay. But but yes, what a great moment for the Hammer. And what a class man Hank Aaron was. That's why it's so tragic that Major League Baseball screwed this up royally.
Yes.
And moved the All-Star game out of Atlanta. How could you be so tone deaf to do that? I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, that's just incredibly stupid. I mean, Atlanta is, it has a majority of an African-American population. They would want to pay homage to one of the great, baseball players of all time in Henry Aaron, who meant so much to their community. The folks of Atlanta and the organization of the Braves had nothing to do with this. And so I just think you shouldn't allow politics to seep in this way.
Well, even the president of the United States was asked about moving other things out of Atlanta, especially the Masters. And he said that we got to be careful on moving events because when we move events, it hurts those that are involved.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. It hurts everyone.
Duh.
And I mean, and Atlanta's really been playing this up, getting a chance to host this. And you've got it at Truist Park, a new ballpark. And then that was before, you lose the Henry Aarons and then Phil Necro, Nuxie, who meant so much to all these people. And the tone-deaf Rob Manfred and the rest of the idiots that run Major League Baseball decide to do something like this. It's completely asinine. And I mean, there's no reason to do it and move it out of Atlanta. I mean, when are they going to give them the All-Star game back? I mean, and again, It's the timing was so. No one wanted to lose Hank. No one wanted to lose Phil. But when you lose them and then you have a chance to pay homage to them in Atlanta for the All-Star game, it is absolute stupidity what Major League Baseball has done. But when you look at the history of the leadership of Major League Baseball, it goes into a ditch every few years anyway because they're morons.
Well, even the former MLB baseball commissioner, Fay Vincent, I mean, he chastised Rob Manfred for moving the All-Star game out of Atlanta. He criticized him big time for moving the game out of Atlanta.
I mean, I agree with Fay Vincent completely. I mean, just dumb.
Don't forget, Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline is open for you for a few more minutes. 256-576-4977. That is the brand new telephone number to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline, 256-576.
If you want, we can show you a picture of the old one.
We ought to give those away.
Yeah, it's a collector's item.
Those
we'll
would
have
be...
Czar sign it. And make sure to put the czar above it.
We can put it on eBay.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
We got two of them.
Yeah, we do.
We've got pop-up banners with the wrong phone number on them. We've got to give them away somehow.
We'll have Ceasefire sign the first one and the czar sign the second. And see which one goes for the most money.
Then we give it away to charity.
Yeah, there you go.
We give it all away to charity. Because we've got banners with it. If you want a, 6-foot tall pop-up banner in your house with our logo on it, you in the wrong phone number, we ought to do that. We could. The Atlanta Braves, Drew. Good news is the Atlanta Braves got their first 2 wins of the season yesterday.
Speaking of the Braves, they were able to survive. They should have swept the Nats on the road. They blew the first game.
Right.
But they were able to get up off the schneid, get up off the canvas. They came back yesterday, won the first game 7-6. And then for the second time in a week, the Panda, Pablo Sandoval, comes off the bench, and they're able to survive Steven Strasburg, who didn't pitch a complete game. But the Atlanta Braves, and boy, I tell you what, Sean Newcomb looked great coming out of the bullpen to close that game and eviscerate the Nats. But it was good to see the Braves get off the schneid. You talked about it, 2 7-inning games.
They got to win a 9-inning game now.
But now they're going to come home for the first time.
Right.
They spent the first 6 games on the road. But certainly not ideal to start 0-4, but now 2-4 sounds a hell of a lot better, and you get a sweep over a pretty good ball club in Washington. So you need to get Fried straightened out a little bit. He's not throwing the ball very well, but Yanoa threw the ball better yesterday, did a good job in a spot start, and then the bullpen was good. So the Braves just need to settle down, get the bats going, and hopefully get a streak going of their own here as they come home for the first time.
Well, yeah, and we talked about this even yesterday. You're going to have some ebbs and flows when it comes to baseball, and you're going to have slumps. You're going to lose, you may lose 2 in a row, 3 in a row during some point of the season. You hate that it was 0-4, but the Braves are getting it straightened out. All right, let's go to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Floyd is with us this morning. Good morning, Floyd.
Morning, guys. Drew, I have you got me cranked up with the Manfred discussion, but have you heard whether he's given up his membership to Augusta National yet?
I don't know. He ought to. I wouldn't let him back in the state if I was folks in Georgia. Of course, you could give Rob Manfred a moron award every day. He's so stupid.
That's exactly right.
Well, we didn't officially give one out today, so do you want to give one to him?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, there we go.
Rob Manfred should have moron tattooed across his forehead.
Yeah. And for the woke community, and we're gonna have to come up with. I think Kung Fu Panda. I think that's offensive to the Bears. So we may need to change name, even though he's a hero over there, or has been for the last week.
Well, aren't pandas? I mean, everybody loves pandas, but aren't pandas a vicious animal anyway? Aren't they not? I mean, they're not a friendly
Vicious?
animal.
I don't know about that.
Are they? I mean, I don't think they're like. I mean,
It's
they're
a bear. I mean, I wouldn't piss it off. I'd feed it.
You walk up to it and just hand it something.
Give him a carrot.
Bears don't eat. I guess they probably
do.
40.
Okay.
Somebody, but anyway.
Thanks.
30.
Thanks, Floyd.
Thanks, Floyd, for the call. We appreciate it. Thank you to Chad Myers.
Yes.
Thank you to Lance Cormier. Thank you to the callers. We're gonna talk to you tomorrow.
20.
Another week. Talk some Masters. 7:01 a.m. Bizarre and Joe Hunt coming on at 10. Look out for eBay. We might have something on there.
Don't piss off a panda.
Yeah. Everybody have a great rest of your day. Stay dry. Scott's still laughing.
I am.
This is Wes Neighbors with Philip with Eagle Insulation, and we have an announcement to make.
Yes, Wes, we are now Eagle Masonry and Insulation. We're still a place to call for your installation needs, but now we offer masonry services.
What kind of masonry projects can you handle?
Wes, no job is too big, no job